Hello everyone, Ellen Woodbridge here, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia. I would like to welcome you to card 2 of my Notes of Nature class. Let's have a close look at what we are using. So we are using the Notes of Nature stamp set with the Notes of Nature dies, and I have added in the label from the Nested Essential dies. I love how it's got the rounded corner. It's just something a bit different in shape on our card. I am adding in the gold faux leather trim that is part of the Nature's Sweetness bundle through to the end of April. Then it is very sadly retiring. The 3 colours, or 4, look, we're using lots of different colours in this card. We are using Pebbled Path, Grey Granite, Lemon Lime Twist for the paper, Old Olive for the card base, and Old Olive for our leaves. So let's get into it. I'm going to start by creating our notebook edge in our Designer Series paper. And the Nature's Sweetness Designer Series paper, I'm going to see if you can see that gold flicker here in the paper. So I'm going to close this stamp set, otherwise I might be tempting fate. And I'm going to take out this long die. Please excuse me. This is going to be the only die cutting, sorry, I've got craft lanches happening here, the only die cutting that we're doing today, so, or at least on screen, because I have pre-prepared pretty much everything else. So mini cutting machine, I have my plate 3, my plate 2, and another plate 2. So I've pre-trimmed this out. All the sizes will be in the project sheet that accompanies this class. And I make sure that the writing is right way around. Now this writing is all about botanicals, because that is kind of what the set is all about. Trying to get this possibly as straight as I can, and I'm going to come in with our top plate and try and sandwich this down. Note the word try. Always easier said than done. All my die cutting was actually done on my big machine because I was doing quite a lot of it, so I haven't actually cut this on the mini machine, so it is going to test me, I feel. Just do some minute changes here. Oh damn. Okay, it can be roughly there. No, I knew this was going to happen when I filmed this card. Isn't it always Murphy's Law that this happens? So I'm just going to sandwich this down very carefully. Now, it's not quite straight, but it's not really going to matter. So crank this through, and that piece is all done. So this is, just let me grab all this out of the way. I love that I can close that machine with one hand. So that has die cut all the holes, and it's also put a little perforation in there as well, which I love. So while we are here, I'm going to take our faux leather trim, which has a gorgeous gold luster to it, and I'm just going to thread this through. Okay, so I'm going to go over and under with this. Would you believe yesterday at my team meeting, I'm so glad only the people on Zoom were really watching me, because all the girls in my team meeting were like thoroughly enthralled in the conversation they had going on. I said, I'll just weave this in and out. So they were weaving as they were chatting. I struggled so much weaving this in and out. Today, luckily, I am not. Now, the great thing about this, and because the leather trim is a little bit robust to our normal ribbons that we have, I don't need to adhere this down. This is actually holding really, really nicely. I'm just going to pull back the trim a little bit, just like that, just so I'm wasting less. Like, it's not as if I haven't got what I feel like is still a full roll. I'm just going to give this a little trim there, and we have that piece. So while I've got this out, let's pop on some dimensionals. So then this piece is ready to rock and roll. Because, you know, while you're doing one thing, you might as well have it all ready to rock and roll. And of course, I'm right on the end of these. Okay, now, then I will go into doing all of our stamping. So it is quite simple stamping, nothing too laborious about it. So we're doing some stamping off, and we are doing some colouring with our Stampin' blends. So I'm going to use 4 stamps. I'm going to use these 2. I'm going to use the leaf and the dottage. So I have my 4 stamps out. For the background, we are going to use Pebbled Path. So let me grab what I need here. So I'm going to use slightly longer for this one. One of my larger ones for the field notes. Oops, so sorry for that large bang there. And then I need a couple of blocks for these 2, if I can grab them. So we have that one for that, and hopefully the same D block again for this one. So these 2 are going to go together. I'm going to bring in my lemon lime twist, and I never really would have put lemon lime twist and old olive together. Only my daughter was in and out of the room whilst I was making these cards, and you know, she likes to be involved. She's 19 and quite arty, and I said, what colours do you think I should use, love? And she told me, and I just went with it. So we're using Stamping Off. So we just want to create, I almost dropped that whole block there. I just want to create some texture in the background so it's not a boring nothing on this card. So I've just created 3 areas. Now I'm going to come in with the dottage, and I'm going to go full on Stamp Off. And for the rest of it, I think I'm going to stamp off here. And here I'm going to do Stamp On, then a Stamp Off. So I've just created some texture. Now I'm going to go to our nested essentials, and I'm going to change ink pads here. So I don't need my Pebbled Path. I'm going to change to grey granite for this, and we're going to use the field notes Stamped Off, and then I am going to use the leaf at full strength. And if you didn't know before now, The grey granite ink we can happily use with, try that again. We can happily use with our Stampin' blends, and it doesn't actually bleed. So I'm going to get a really nice crisp image, and when I colour over it with our Stampin' blends, it's going to stay really nice and crisp. And I wanted to tell you something else just while I close this, and I've grabbed the wrong Stampin' blends. I'm going to have to grab my old olive pair here, which I have right here, my old olive rather than my mossy meadow. This is actually a date up here, and we were told by the designer of the Notes of Nature stamp set that this is actually the date that she designed the stamp set. So I thought that was really cool, and it kind of tells you, considering we are in 2024 and these were released in 2024, how long ago this stamp set was actually designed. So it's kind of an insight to how forward Stampin' Up! Do work with their catalogue. So I'm just covering the whole leaf pattern here with our light old olive. And then just in the part of the leaf where it meets the stem, I'm just going to put our dark. And then I'm going to go in and blend out that middle section. So these are actually really nice and juicy. So finish with my dark, and I'm just going to blend out these harsh edges here just with some circular motions. Now my colouring isn't perfect, but I love how this ends up looking, and this isn't even dry yet. So we are basically ready to put on the last of our dimensionals that I have to find again. Where are my utility scissors? So this, I'm going to put one dimensional everywhere. On this side, I am going to double stack my dimensionals because we are using dimensionals on this piece. So hopefully you can try to do this very simple colouring to show light and shade to your leaves. Now this is the side I would like to double stack. So I just want to remove these pieces. So this is my take your pick tool with the crafter's tips. So that's all nice and sticky, ready for our second layer. Just like so. Okay, where is the card base? I have that. I'm just going to layer up these, pop this to the side. Oh, I have a bit of smudge on there. So that is definitely going to be the front. And we are going to cover it up so no one knows it's there. And we have a very large selection of embellishments. I may have raided my embellishments to find golden natural ones that would actually go really, really well with this card. Now, I have a brand new glue. I finally finished one that had been a little bit of a pain. So always with my new glues, I must remember I don't need to squeeze so hard. So this is the only thing I'm using glue for. So this lid gets properly put on straight away. So old olive card base, lemon lime twist card front, which looks so good together. We used our pecan pie stamping here. Just let me use my wiggle room here. Then I have my Nature's Sweetness DSP with my faux leather trim. So by using dimensionals on the back of this, I just give the leather trim time not to be squashed. So using the dimensionals kind of gives it exactly the same height. So I've made this a titch of a bit shorter. Perfect. So you can see all the way around that that is sitting really quite nicely. So they're very, very similar in height. Going to add this. So we've got our double height on the side that's going directly on our card base. And just decide where we would like that. I like the connection to this area here. So I've connected both of these areas. Please excuse my froggy throat. And I'm going to grab all of the, and I haven't even got them all yet. I think there's one more in here. Okay, so these were my selection that I grabbed out of my stash. I've got Brush Metallic. I've got our Iridescent Foil. I've got Festive, our Festive Pearls. I have our Pastel, which has our gold. I have a whole card front there. Our Cork, which actually goes with this suite, so I think I'm going to use that. We have our Neutrals, and that doesn't go. The purple doesn't go. So that's a selection I grabbed out of just my personal stash, but I used the gold in the first one, just 3. Just to bring the gold all together. But there are 2 elements of gold. So if I had touch of vision, I'd get you to just feel these. They are so super smooth. They are gorgeous to use. They just feel like a cork floor or a cork board. They're actually lovely to feel. So these are just a teensy bit smaller than these ones. So I'm just doing a slightly different layout here. And I'm just using 2 large and the small. So once again, I'm creating that connection to the stamping in the background. And I have 2 very similar cards. So there you go. That actually, this card I stuck straight down with dimensionals. So I did this one slightly different, but you get exactly the same effect. So for this card, I chose not to use a sentiment because there is quite a lot of text on the stamp, and the actual designer series paper. The focal point is our leaf, and then you can use this card for any occasion and anyone. So I would happily give this card to my stepdaughter, who absolutely loves gardening. She actually came to my class, in-person class that I ran on this, and she loved all the botanical theme of these projects. So let's go through what I have used. I've used the Notes of Nature stamp set with the Notes of Nature die, and I will just bring in the notebook die that I have used. So I've used both of those for our focal label, I have used the Nested Essentials. So great that we've got lots of choices here. And we've used the Nature's Sweetness Designer Series paper, used the faux leather trim in gold. We don't have any other colours, but that's what we've got. I used our cork rounds. We used Old Olive Stampin' blends, and the two ink colours that we used were Pebbled Path Grey Granite for our ink, and we used our Lemon Lime Twist and Old Olive for our cardstock. I hope you have fun recreating this card, whether it's using this stamp set or another stamp set. Hopefully you can take something from it. I would love for you to show me what you've made in my VIP group. That is in the description box below. You just need to expand it to get the link, and I will see you in card number 3. Thanks so much for your support, and I'll see you soon. Bye.